You blink, I'll cut your eyelids off. Don't you blink.
I got you.
Let's go.
Now let's go into some other notes right now with the Pittsburgh Steelers in this regard right now. Going up to our next set of topics, as the first week of training camp, which has been open to the public right now. I mean, we already mentioned the depth chart right now. Let's go into the grind right now. Deal or no deal right now for outside linebacker T.J. Watt. As it was mentioned by Dale Lolley, Colbert, he had a chance to speak to the media. Lolley was able to get some comments from Kevin Colbert right now. As you look at, I mean, currently Watt is at the end of his rookie contract, playing on his fifth-year option that the Steelers did pick up on him. He is making a little over $10 million, $10.089 million to be exact, for this season. I mean, when you truly look at it, I mean, a guy like T.J. Watt right now who continues to just get better and better, I mean, like each year. I mean, when you really think about it, I mean, for the most part, too. I mean, T.J. Watt, I mean, who's definitely becoming one of the future faces, I mean, of this franchise. I mean, who has career high in sacks a season ago, had half a sack more than he did the previous season. 15 total sacks for the year, Watster. I mean, this guy right here, I mean, arguably should have been Defensive Player of the Year right now. But as we remember, too, I mean, you look at it right now, the Steelers, their current cap situation right now, according to Over the Cap, and where they stand with everything that has been going on, they got right now, for the most part, I mean, with all their sides, don't forget, I mean, you got a bunch of guys like right now on the roster who don't count against the 53-man roster or the expand roster in training camp. You have about 12.27, over 12 and $2.75 million in cap space. So close to $13 million right there. I mean, of course, as we look at it for right now, I mean, you got T.J. Watt as like the fourth highest earner on this team right now. Ben Roethlisberger, of course, being the big bell cow right now, $25.91 million, followed by Joe Haden at $15 and $5.75 million. Then you got Stephon Tuitt, $14.94075 million. Then T.J. Watt at $10.089. And so far, he has not been reporting to training camp right there as we looked at it for the time being. As we look at it, he hasn't even participated in team drills so far. Steelers coach Mike Thomas said it was day-to-day for Watt as we look at it, saying that also, too, that I don't have to report injuries this time of year, so I won't. Thomas said to Brooke Power of ESPN, who covers the Steelers for that area. I mean, he has participated in individual drills, but has run sprints in the end zone during team drills. I mean, Watt, 26, made the All-Pro team each the past two seasons with 42.5 sacks the past 3 seasons for that. And when you also look at it, too, I mean, speaking of T.J. Watt, when you look at the all-time official, sack leaders right now, as far as, single-season sack leaders right now, he only trails James Harrison right now for 16. And Watt is second on that list right now. Also, too, I don't know if anyone's got a chance to check out. I was noticing the last couple of weeks, if anyone wants to go on Pro Football Reference, they're actually starting to list the unofficial individual sacks by players since 1960. Granted, sacks in the NFL for an individual defensive player didn't become available until 1982. But if you really want to look at it right now, Gene Lipscomb, defensive tackle back in 1961, has the record for most sacks in the season was 17.5. Granted, that did not count, but it is James Harrison who gets the official recognition right now. T.J. Watt, I mean, I'd like to ask you right now, let's do fair or foul right now. Fair or foul that T.J. Watt this season will be able to eclipse, match, or pass 16 sacks. I would say fair for right now. Why not? Because you got to be thinking, too, I mean, if he does not get a deal, I mean, at this point, you got to imagine how much more that motor is going to be up and running. I mean, to like not only just try and concentrate win a championship for his team, but also too, I mean, listen, I mean, at the same time too, the Steelers are going to be a little bit of a bind at the end of the day if you think about it, because like I said, I mean, you had I had a couple weeks ago on my podcast from the for the Masteel podcast about a couple weeks ago. Right now, as we looked at it, Wesley Euler, who was telling me, I mean, if he does win Defensive Player of the Year, you gotta only imagine that price tag is only gonna go up for him as far as like the market. Because when we look at it right now, I mean, as far as like with according to Over the Cap right now, as far as the top played edge rushers right now, I mean, in this league, I mean, let's take a look at it. I mean, for the most part, I mean, like edge rushers for this year, as far as like annual per year going into this season right now. I mean, just loading up. I want to say Myles Garrett is definitely like one of the top ones at that point. But still, I mean, you got to figure like right now, right here, as far as like average a year right now, Joey Bosa is number one, followed by Myles Garrett. Then you got Khalil Mack at number 23. Joey Bosa makes $27 million. Myles Garrett 25. Khalil Mack 23.5. Then you got DeMarcus Lawrence of the Cowboys at 21 million. And then you got Frank Clark of the Chiefs at 20.8 million. Now you gotta believe right now, I mean, like why his agent right now, I mean, you gotta be thinking, I mean, that he's gonna be a little bit more than $27 million opposed to Joey Bosa right now as we look at it. And for this part right now, I mean, listen, I mean, the good thing is he is here. I mean, he has been keeping himself in shape. He has been around his teammates. It's not a matter of if he'll be practicing. I'm sure it's when, but still, I mean, I have nothing to worry about. I don't think it's going to be like the Le'Veon Bell situation where it was 3 years ago. I mean, listen, I mean, you got the guy here right now. He's focused. He's all in on this season with him and his teammates, trying to bring home a championship. Bottom line. I will say, too, that one thing that Kevin Colbert, I mean, did reiterate, he did allude to the fact, too, and remind everybody that the Steelers do have a history of not getting deals done once the season starts right now. I mean, remember, 10 years ago, don't forget, too, I mean, we heard many people, like Ed Bouchette was saying, too, like with Troy Polamalu, they got a deal struck with him the day before the start of the regular season. I mean, don't forget, they were the AFC champions. I mean, that year, I mean, Troy Polamalu also just won Defensive Player of the Year, I mean, that season. I mean, he was signed to a 4-year, $36.4 million contract extension that included $10.55 million guaranteed. And, I mean, right now, I mean, listen, I mean, this is definitely going to be an interesting time right now. I'm not so sure if, like, they're waiting right now for Bob Osborne's contract to fall off the table, I mean, for the Steelers for, like, this year. But I'm not going to lie to you. I'm definitely getting a little anxious. I've spoken to a few people in Pittsburgh, like Bob Pompiani. He definitely feels like they're going to get a deal done. I mean, this season. I mean, Ben Roethlisberger right now, his cap number is at 25.91, as I just alluded to. But, I mean, he also is engaged right now. And Colbert did speak very highly of him, of course, as he always does with any other teammates, that he has proven to be a very good defensive player, according to Colbert. There's nothing you could add to what he's done on the field other than win the championship. The unique part of those 5 men going into the Hall of Fame next weekend is that they're all Super Bowl champions. Of course, as he is alluding to right now, I mean, into the Hall of Fame, when you think about it, I mean, like Bill Cowher, Troy Polamalu, Bill Cowher, Johnny Shell, and Alan Faneca right there. I mean, at the end of the day. One thing Clover said wouldn't change the team's long-standing rule, the Hall negotiation, once the regular season begins. But what do you think, Steelers Nation? I want to bring the forum up to you guys right now. Feel free to leave me a comment. Once again, you guys can follow me on social media. You can follow me on Twitter at MassSteelCGR and on Instagram at MassSteelNation. What do you guys think of the current contract stalemate going on with T.J. Watt? Are you enthused or less enthused right now that we're not going to see a deal get done in time for the start of the regular season? I mean, for TJ. So that's where I'm going to leave that at right now. I mean, personally, at this point, I think it's going to be done before the start of the regular season, like how they did with Stephon Tuitt, Cam Heyward. I don't see anything getting done right now during training camp. I do feel like it's going to be a week out or the day before the regular season. It has to be, because you think about Cam Heyward, the guy who's also in a similar position. I mean, last year, I think he was going into the final year of his deal and was pretty much prepared to move on. He didn't feel encouraged that they were going to sign up anybody. But, look what happened with Cam Heyward. For the time being, when you looked at what, him and his agent was able to do, he signed a 4-year contract extension with the Steelers on Labor Day on September 7th. Contract worth up to $65.6 million in new money, with $20.25 million guaranteed at signing. He received a $17.5 million sign bonus at signing and a $2.75 million roster bonus on September 11th. Roster bonus was treated as sign bonus since contract was executed after what would have been the last preseason game. So Heyward has roster bonuses 2021 and 2022 on the third of each respective league year. So good for him. He's locked up through 2024. I got to imagine that's got to be the route going right now for T.J. Watt.